I hope you guys like cats, cause there's a AAA cat MMO game coming out not just on Steam, but on Apple Watch and Nintendo Switch as well. Allegedly. It's also apparently similar to Just Cause 3. Catly was recently announced in the Game Awards last week. Now, we don't know too much about it, and that fact is playing a huge factor in this controversy. But this game has been making quite the noise online recently, and not exactly for the reasons the people behind the game probably would have wanted. No, the reason why it's making the rounds is because the game is allegedly generated by AI. Now, I know the topic of generative AI itself is a pretty polarizing one, so whichever side you're on, it's up to you. You can come to your own conclusions about it. But if it's anything we're gonna cover in this video, it's that we'll see that Catly is nothing like Just Cause 3. If this is your first time on this channel, hello, I usually cover topics surrounding art, and I sometimes use video games as background. As usual, don't harass anyone mentioned in this video, and keep the comment section civil. Anyway, let's get started. So, Catly debuted at the Game Awards this past week. Here's the cinematic trailer, I guess, for the game itself coming from IGN. And if you just look at the like to dislike ratio, it's absolutely getting torn to shreds. Mind you, it's not just on the IGN video, they're pretty much getting backlash all over the place, especially on Twitter. So here are a couple of the comments under the video with this user saying, quote, money laundering used to mean something. And another saying, quote, this game breaks Steam TOS, which is in reference to Steam requiring developers to actually disclose how they're using generative AI in the development and execution of their game. Another user quoting Hayao Miyazaki, who famously said, I strongly feel that this is an insult to life itself. And this user saying, quote, if the clear use of AI in the trailer hasn't convinced you to not spend any money on it, here's some additional information. The game has no information on what it is, no gameplay footage, we'll get to that in a second. The studio behind the game, Super Authentic, has nothing else to offer and leaves no digital footprints. From some digging before information was wiped, the creator behind Catly, Kevin Young, has engaged with crypto and NFTs. A previous, assumedly defunct studio he was associated with, 10th Planet, developed games that were planned to be blockchain-based. Don't let the cute cat visuals blindside you into what could very well be a ripoff, which is something I absolutely agree with. And here's an interesting reply that said, quote, no AI in the footage up until the scene with the photo feed. Really fucking bad CG made worse by what I suspect is commissioning real CGI artists to work off AI-generated mockups. Which was a comment that I found very interesting and made me rewatch the whole thing, and I will admit, at first glance, the trailer does seem generated by AI because of the way it looks. It just has that distinctive hyper-realistic look to it. Like, I don't know, you tell me, this part of the trailer is particularly oddly reminds me of some of the images used in the Willy Wonka experience from earlier this year. You know what, that's essentially what Catly feels like. Willy Wonka Experience Part 2 Electric Boogaloo. Now let's be honest here for a second, just by the color palette alone and seeing how hyper-realistic the cats are, we have to admit that it does look very akin to what AI-generated slop looks like. But what the comment said does seem to be true, at least from what I've seen. Obviously, I could be wrong. I'm not like a CGI or 3D animation expert. I did try to look for inconsistencies. Did I say that right? I did try to look for inconsistencies throughout the trailer, but couldn't find a lot. Now, don't get me wrong, this isn't like to defend the alleged usage of generative AI. The images at the end of the trailer do seem AI generated, though I'm not saying that as a fact. I am just simply presenting my findings. Now, one of the few things that threw me off was this cat's ear 3 seconds in. Like, why does it move like a seaweed? As far as I'm aware, cat ears don't move like that. But other than that, the cat designs and lighting scenarios do seem pretty consistent. I mean, 10 seconds in, we see the portal open up, but we do see the reflection of the portal open up in the cat's eyes. This cat's design also seems pretty consistent throughout the trailer, and this part with the room seems a little too uncanny for me, especially this room over here. Like, that doesn't look like it has any depth to it. This part of the trailer where the cat falls also seems pretty consistent, like you can see the scratch marks aligning with the claws. Surprisingly, the background also seems pretty consistent. Like, if you look over here, this is the sofa the cat lands on, there are the platforms, and you even have the fish thingies hanging from the ceiling. Even the way this cat falls down the stairs looks consistent. Like, from what I've seen with AI generated videos, things tend to warp and bend, but surprisingly it wasn't the case for this cat. It managed to keep its shape pretty well. The only thing I would say though is that I don't think cats really make that pose when they're falling. Like, don't they spread their limbs like a flying squirrel or something when they're falling or something? I don't know, you guys tell me. And when this cat's eyes changes colors, the way it lights up the eye area is also pretty consistent according to the color of the eyes. And even the human, yes, the human is pretty consistent. But just by looking at the hair strands, you've got the shadow on the forehead and the reflection on the glasses. She's got all 5 fingers, and using the strands of hair poking out the back of her head as a landmark, it stays pretty consistent when she changes poses. And then obviously the cards at the end of the trailer contain images which I would say are pretty obviously, you know, AI generated. Kali also has a website which they seem to have changed since the whole situation started. There used to be other sections containing what I suppose they would call the assets, which have since been removed, and the website now only contains the registration and links to their game pages on Steam and Apple Watch and their account on Twitter. It also plays the trailer for the game in the background, which funnily enough you can't press anything unless you use picture-on-picture mode or double-click to go full screen. Bad UI design. But using Web Archive, you can actually dig up some of those lost sections. I mean, honestly, I don't even know what to make of it. You've got this weird ass hooded flower bathrobe, this trash bag outfit, this weird puffer jacket. You've got these sunglasses, this robe lined with glass shards which does not seem very safe to wear, this weird sports getup, and this hat thing. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that these are 3D assets they hired someone to make. I'm not saying that as a fact, I'm just assuming. Who knows, this could, you know, very well be AI generated. But the cats, man, it just screams AI. Like, what the hell is this on the left shoulder? It's blending into the scaly suit, and the top part of the suit where the neck is inconsistent with the rest of the suit. And the reflection on the glasses, come on. That shoreline looks a little too straight. Now again, these are just assumptions and allegations that, you know, these are AI generated images. For all we know, these could just be placeholders or someone actually made them on Blender and just wasn't entirely thorough with the final render. And then they've got this image of yet another cat with sunglasses and a flower coat. Biggest thing for me here are the legs. Like, what the hell is this bell-bottom fur legs blending into the carpet? And if you look closely, this part makes it look like the cat has its paws out. I mean, the more I look at it, the more confused I get. Like, is it sitting down or standing up? Does it have like 4 legs or 6? And I have never seen a cat's tail look like a matcha tea whisk. Then you've got this image which reminds me of a picture I would see slapped onto a bag of cat food. If you look closely, it looks like there's fur behind the eyes. Ugh. And then you've got these images of the cats we see in the game which all have that uncanny valley look to them. What in the hell are those paws on this little guy? It looks like it's got fur behind its eyes too, and you know what? I mean, with those conditions, I can see why it would be called temperamental shit. But now let's go over to the game's Steam page and take a look at the tags for the game, which honestly doesn't track with the images we just saw. Nor does it track with the gameplay footage and the game description, which I'll get to in a bit. So these are, according to Steam, the tags applied to the product by the most users, which include action, cats, massively multiplayer, open world, third-person shooter, multiplayer, immersive sim, cinematic, artificial intelligence, CRPG, exploration, simulation, 3D, co-op, PvP, colorful, building, action, RPG, family-friendly, and farming sim. It's all over the fucking place. And if we look at the gameplay trailer that's been added to the Steam page, which was allegedly captured in-game running in real time, I honestly don't know what to make of it. The environment itself looks consistent enough. I don't see any erratic changes that you usually see from AI generated videos. I guess you can say maybe the grass that pops up out of nowhere, but it could just be a rendering distance issue if this is indeed gameplay footage. The grass does pop up and stop almost exactly where the shadow thingies are, almost kind of like an outline. Like, I could be wrong though. But I do want to point out that apparently AI generated 3D assets are a thing. The only problem is, from what I've heard of 3D artists say about it, it's not really good at topology, which causes problems. Again, I'm not a 3D artist, this is just what I've heard. And then obviously you've got the cats, which you can customize through this rather jank looking customization screen. Like, what is this? These icons look like something you would pick for your Windows account icon if you're sharing a computer with other people. You can give them costumes, but honestly I feel like the style of the cats become inconsistent just judging by the customization screen. And why does this cat look like a bobblehead? Taking a quick look at the key features part of the page, you can pause the video if you want to read all of it. It says explore a seamless open world, adopt and raise cats, build connections with the locals, a thriving farm life, endless creativity, build your dream island, cat adventures, and cooperation. None of which I see at all in the gameplay trailer, which would lead me to assume that the description is generated by AI. And most importantly, where is the third-person shooter aspect? I thought this was supposed to be similar to Just Cause 3. Nothing about the game screams Just Cause 3. But that aside, what I'm getting from the trailer itself is the vision is something similar in nature to games like Animal Crossing and Stardew Valley, only with hyper-realistic graphics if this gameplay trailer is legit. Moreover, you're gonna tell me that all this is gonna be on the Apple Watch? Come on now. I admire the ambition, but you can't be serious. With those graphics? So according to Steam, Super Authentic, the studio behind the game, doesn't really have anything behind them aside from this game, and if you search for Super Authentic, the only thing that pops up are discussions about the controversy surrounding Catly. But it looks like the company is now in damage control as, like I mentioned earlier, they've scrubbed the website clean of the images previously shown, and a PR rep has since spoken to IGN about the situation. Going to the article, the rep said, quote, "The developer was very surprised by such speculations. We do not think that there are any existing AI tools that can produce a video like that. Industry experts have echoed this opinion." The rep also showed IGN a version of the trailer that showed gameplay and seemingly confirmed the trailer wasn't AI generated. I would like to point out though that it says showed gameplay, but it doesn't specifically say that IGN managed to get their hands on the demo. So as far as we know, it's just footage. They also addressed the allegations of Catly being a blockchain game, which they stated were unfounded assumptions and that there is no blockchain technology involved with Catly or Super Authentic, and also denied NFTs in the company or the game. The rep also revealed that Catly is being developed using Unreal Engine 5 and that the developer uses different software to make hyper-realistic fur and hair, which I guess kinda tracks. I don't know if you guys have played Black Myth Wukong, but it basically uses the same engine. From what I've personally seen, the hair and fur both look pretty realistic in that game, so that leads me to believe that it kinda tracks. The article then also mentions that the co-founder of Super Authentic, Kevin Young, had ties to blockchain games, which leads us to this article by Venturebeat. It states that the studio 10th Planet was started by William Wei Chen, who was a former game dev leader for TikTok, and Kevin Young. The studio itself created titles like Mech Angel, which is an MMORPG for both mobile and PC, and Alien Muse, which is a cat breeding game that would be using Unreal Engine 5, of which no trace can be found of Alien Muse, and Mech Angel has seemingly gone dark and their Twitter has since been privated. Back to the IGN article, it also mentions quotes on the Catly Steam page made by League of Legends and Arcane producer Thomas Vu, who according to the article is a Web3 investor, stating, quote, "This cat MMO is a triumph of innovation and heart, delivering an enchanting world that stands as a testament to the brilliance of its creators." It also mentions a quote from Hearthstone and Marvel Snap creator Ben Brode, who said, quote, "I didn't think I would be excited about a game about cats, but here we are." Which, interestingly enough, he confirmed that it was indeed him, going as far to say that he saw 20 minutes of gameplay footage a few months prior, though he did say that he didn't get to play a demo of the game, which is something that I mentioned earlier about the IGN article. They said that they were shown gameplay but never mentioned anything about a demo, which raises one of multiple red flags for me. The whole situation's a pretty deep rabbit hole with updates still coming. There's a whole Reddit thread about it. But my own personal conclusions, judging by just how quickly they tried scrubbing their digital footprints when, the detectives came knocking, how the color palette looks too similar to what you would see from AI generated images, the stills at the end of the trailer, the images recovered by the online bloodhounds, and the fact that they had the balls to announce it for Apple Watch, and the fact that they only showed IGN gameplay footage but somehow had no playable demo, it is a little suspicious. And if Catly is indeed a NFT game, well, I don't need to say anything about it. I think we all know what those games are about. Scumbags. And also, this game does not scream Just Cause 3. Come on now. Anyway, let me know your thoughts down below. As always, keep it civil. See ya.